What are you doing? I'm working on my oxidative system. Isn't this how it works? You're missing the point. You're inside the house, just wearing that mask, and all you're doing is just suffocating yourself. How is that gonna work? But I see people wearing this all the time. And they also advertise this everywhere saying that it improves oxygen efficiency. So doesn't that mean that I'll be breathing better and it'll help me with running and doing other activities? What's going on, guys? Xvisamban coming to you with another segment on the oxidative system and training. I will also be going over what this thing is and how it's used in training. I also won't go into the chemistry involved in these systems simply because there are multiple pathways that also include lengthy processes. But here are the things we have to keep in mind. One, the oxidative system is the slowest to produce energy because of the multiple processes required. These processes require the Krebs cycle and electron transport chain. There is a third process called beta oxidation, but it happens during fat catabolism. On top of those processes, the oxidative system also needs the assistance from other energy systems. So what kind of assistance am I talking about? An example would be from the glycolytic system and the cutting of glucose into 2-pyruvate molecules. This process of glycolysis used 2 ATP to create 4 ATP, or a net total of 2 ATP. Along with this production of ATP, it also produced 2 NADH molecules. Now, why does it matter that I created these? These matter because it is used in the Krebs cycle. This is why the oxidative system is the slowest system. While this is the slowest system, this also lasts the longest for energy production. A big contributor to the longevity of this system is that it is aerobic, or in layman's terms, it uses oxygen. And oxygen is basically an unlimited source. Now, going into a high elevation environment, right? This is what these masks are for. So people have created this mask that many would say simulate high elevation training. It also isn't a coincidence that this product has a mountain as their logo or brand logo. So going into a high elevation environment, oxygen density begins to decline. So training in such environmental condition causes the body to adapt by increasing hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is important because the more you have in your bloodstream, the more oxygen you can put into your system. And there's actually another way of doing this, but it is banned by the WADA. So if you were an athlete trying to improve your performance, this method of blood doping would be illegal. So the problem with claiming that this is an elevation simulation mask is that the mask only makes breathing difficult to perform. This is because it forces you to take deeper breaths and applies more resistance to your intercostal muscles and diaphragm muscles. Now, why isn't it the same thing? It isn't the same thing because when you apply resistance to your breathing muscles by wearing this mask in a low altitude environment, let's say, it doesn't change the density of oxygen within the air, meaning you're still breathing the same air, but it's just harder for you to intake that oxygen. Or a better way to describe it is that you're still breathing the same density of oxygen, but your air intake is just suffering because it's being restricted, or you have a bigger resistance. But however, you're still going to get a better workout with this mask on, but simulating elevation with this mask is a bit of a stretch.
Activities with low intensity but long durations are best for training the system. In our ATP-PC and glycolytic segments, we explained how their dominance begins to decline while the oxidative system skyrockets. This is again because of our body's utilization of oxygen and how there is a large area to pull it from. The longer an activity continues, the more CO2 accumulates. This is bad because it makes the work environment for muscles acidic. And we know this from our glycolytic segment with the lactic acid that muscles have a difficult time contracting in these acidic conditions. So the homeostatic response is by breathing harder to increase blood oxygen levels. Going back to the training mask, yes, it helps with training the muscles required for breathing, which aims to increase maximal oxygen intake, but it does not induce hypoxia or high altitude simulation.